y'all ever felt like, man, what the hell is going on in my life? Why am I here? What is this situation, and what caused it? Did I cause this? What? It's their fault. I think it's my dad's fault. It's my mom's fault. It's my brother's fault. Why did that teacher have to tell that to me? Why is it always me that ends up in these situations? Right? It's really easy to feel like this. We all ask these questions at different points in our life. But there's something I want to bring to your attention. Something that before I realized, I was asking these kind of questions subconsciously, right? Because I was always one to avoid being a victim. I didn't want to consciously say that I was a victim, but subconsciously, deep in the back of my mind, there was some part of me that felt a victim about certain things. I felt bad for myself in certain ways, or I wanted people to feel bad for me in a certain way. I didn't realize this completely. Excuse me. As a teenager, this was a part of my shadow. It was a part of my unconscious self, the part of me that I didn't know, the part of me that would dictate my reality, and was. And I didn't realize I was calling it fate, such as Carl Jung always says. So, what I'm bringing to your attention today is the idea and the concept and the foreseeable proof that the universe is always supporting you. The universe is always in constant expansion and expression. Expansion and expression. It's always moving and creating. It's always using energy and creating it, transforming energy, I should say. We're all in the same universe, obviously. We don't even know what's out there, what's outside of our galaxy, what's outside of our solar system, right? And just to be completely fair with you, I don't know much about space altogether. But what I do know about and have felt and experienced, what I feel about more than anything, is the support of the universe, the support of God. It's one and the same, in my opinion. You see, let me take you back to when I first started my journey. When I first started my journey, I was a senior in high school. Actually, it was when I was a junior in high school. I had my fiance now, she lived with me. She lived with me and my mom. I wanted to get out of school as much as I can and go be back at home with her, right? For many different reasons, as you can imagine. But what this did when I was going to school, because I missed a lot of school before this, sophomore year and junior year, but what it helped me realize was that I needed to do something that was going to help me be at home more, to be around her more. I didn't realize it, but it was to be around my family more. I was like, I need to do more so I can spend more time at home. So I was like, okay, what can I do? I knew that there was a lot of new possibilities out there with the internet. I had seen a small amount of stuff. So I started looking into it. I looked into drop shipping in particular at first. Drop shipping, marketing, advertising, these kind of things. I actually started spending money. I was working just very small time jobs. I was working straight way before my sophomore year. I was working as soon as I could. But sophomore, junior year is when I actually started, junior year I should say, when I actually started using my money for things other than clothes or dumb stuff. Anyways, I started buying courses like right away. I was like, okay, let me pay somebody that's already doing it. Let me pay somebody that can teach me. Now, of course, I probably listened to an ad too much. I let myself be sold, right? But I went for it. I said, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's try something out, right? I remember the first thing, it was probably like $50. Maybe it was 15. I think it was $15. I don't think I used it very much, right? I didn't value it. But I started looking at it, started opening my mind up. Then, not too long after, I spent like $500 on a course. It was a drop shipping all around course. They built a website for you. They had a whole community, you name it. You know what happened? I wasn't consistent enough with it at all. I looked at it for a week, started studying the videos, but I was too nervous to join into the community calls, right? I was very self-conscious then as well, like I've mentioned before. I didn't use it really at all. I used it for a week or two and dropped off of it. Fell off of it completely. Had a lot of regret about it. But you know what didn't change? My drive to do more. My drive to create a situation where I could work from home. Okay? So time went on, and I got into trading. Trading is what I got into. When I got into trading, I started paying money again to be a part of these groups who will give you signals and calls. Very small amount. I say very small amount. I think it was like $100 a month. But they would give you calls, and you put the call in, you make some money. Did it for a little bit of time. Didn't stay very consistent with it for very long because it wasn't always consistent making money. Right? In trading, you need a considerable amount of money to make a decent amount of money. Right? I was playing with hundreds of dollars at a time, so I would lose money in many situations. But I stayed consistent with it and found new mentors. Okay? What I want to highlight here is that I stayed consistent and something that I needed arrived. The old saying, when a student is there, a teacher will arrive, a teacher will appear, something along those lines. This has been the case in my life tenfold. Again, I stayed consistent with trading. I was in a group already paying money for it. And then I started seeing some friends doing trading as well. I said, you know what, let's just try this out the way they're doing it, because they seem to be making some money. I said, all right, let's try it out. Got in touch with them. It was really a network marketing group, and so that was in reflection. Not long after, that was at large the motive behind their group. But they did have a lot of content. They did have a lot of stuff that you could use to be successful if you really applied it. They had a ton of mentors to help you. Now, there was only really one that I knew. There was others as well. But one that I knew personally that was actually my mentor within the group that actually traded. It was like a real-time trader, right? The rest were kind of just network marketers. And you can't blame them. You know, you get people into the group and you actually apply what was in the group, the information. You could do a lot. Anyways, this mentor that I found, he was always genuine. I could tell that he really cared about what he was saying. He cared about, what he was doing. He was an intentional person. I could tell. So I started following him. I was paying money to be in the group. I believe it was like $200 something a month. Right. Not long after that, and again, this was without me starting to make. I wasn't like making money with trading yet either. I was just staying consistent with it because I believed it could turn into something. And I knew I was building skills that were going to help me. Right? This mentor started opening me up to new ideas. Right? Again, it was a network marketing group, so there was that aspect of it. He was actually giving me training and help on trying to go market the thing so I can make more money with it as well and have my membership compensated and then make money on top of that. So he started opening my mind up to new things. I still remember it to this day. He's like, go record yourself 10 times saying da-da-da-da, basically a pitch for the network marketing group. And it scared the hell out of me. I didn't like listening to my voice. I didn't like, the idea of trying to sell somebody whatsoever or anything like that. But I tried it out a little bit, and then he was like, go call all your friends. I didn't really do that. I was scared of doing that. I wasn't going for that. But I did it a little bit, though. A tiny bit. Started getting some experience. And again, the student, which was me, it wasn't a full-time student. I wasn't fully ready to experience the growth there. I wasn't fully ready to experience it just yet. Highlight that, right? My own self was scared of fully experiencing it. But there was a part of me that was ready to learn, so I went out and I did it a little bit. And I learned a little bit, right? Point is that the universe supported me in this endeavor. The universe gave me some contacts to go and call and try it out. Anyways, time passed. The guys came to town. I went out to where they were at. We had a great time. I got to spend some time with guys that were doing well for themselves. This was a completely new experience for me. I, again, started to expand my awareness. I was like, wow, you can really just live differently out here. You don't have to kind of live in the normal confines of life. You can kind of, if you do the right things, if you build the right assets, the right systems, the right organizations, whatever you want to call it, you can live differently than what you've always seen. It doesn't have to be some 9-to-5 job. You've always seen your mother and father work that. It doesn't have to be that. All right? Now, again, I had a little bit of seeing that before with social media, but this was really starting to bring it into my awareness even more so. So I stayed consistent with it, right? Eventually the group, I had to bow out of the group. Not long after that, I think the group altogether failed. But the mentor that I had was still there. He was still out. He was still doing his thing. Actually, he was pushing the needle forward on it. So I still followed him. All right, I started paying him to be in his groups and have his support, his mentorship still. Okay, so I stayed consistent with it. I kept learning, kept learning, kept learning. Again, this whole time I'm not making any money from trading. I'm working my full-time job outside of 40, 50 hours a week, construction. This is right around the time I had my daughter as well. We had moved into an apartment. My my fiance had the baby 2 or 3 months in. And from that point on, she wasn't working at all. And so it was just me. I was paying the rent, and all my money outside of it was going into trading. And this shit was hard, man. Shit was tough. Like, didn't have much money at all. And I wasn't making anything from where my money was going. Right? So, but you know what I did? You know how I know and have experienced from this that the universe was always supporting me? I realized, and I took accountability. I said, you know what? I didn't blame it, right? Because I got out of the blame game way before this, not long before this. I would say a little bit of time before this, I should say. I looked at what was going on and I said, this is my fault. I can't do well in trading because I don't have the discipline. Here I am placing trades that I know I shouldn't be at times. It's got to be me. It's got to be me. It's got to be me. And this wasn't in an overly self-critical way where I didn't do anything afterwards or I felt too guilty to take action. This was in a, even though that would have been easy for me to do, this was in a self-reflective analyzation way. Like, you know what, I suck because I got to do better. You know, I'm not doing good because I'm undisciplined. I don't have my sleep schedule dialed in. I don't have my workout schedule dialed in. I don't have anything dialed in. So what I did was I went heavier and heavier and heavier into the work. Man, I remember it still to this day. I've told a few people this story this week. In this apartment that we had, it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and we just had my daughter. The other bedroom was my daughter's room. Now, she was a newborn. She never slept in there. She never slept in the crib. She always slept in our room with us. But her room was set up as her room, right? Cute room, all the good stuff. My fiance does an amazing job of decorating things. So it was a beautiful room. She just never slept in it, right? So this meant that I had to have my office somewhere. Well, can you guess where my office was? Smack dab in the middle of the house, in the middle of the apartment, in the dining room, right? Dining room was connected right to the kitchen, tiny kitchen, decent sized living room. So it was all right there in the middle of the house, right in front of the front door. So I was going heavy into this work, heavy. What I started, I had the whole wall. I mean, I'd blare motivational speeches all the time. It'd be dinner time and my fiance's cooking food and I'm just over there, Les Brown, just blaring. E.T., Eric Thomas, blaring. You name it, any of them. And what I would do when I wasn't using my money for trading, when I wasn't just blowing money or trying to do it with discipline, when I wasn't actually working on the trading, I'd be sitting there writing stuff down. I was sitting there writing, I am successful, I am successful. I was sitting there programming my mind for success in the ways I was learning how to. I was doing reading. I was doing all these different things that I was learning were good for me, even though they felt kind of boring at the time, and especially when I first started. So I went heavier and heavier into this work. Again, at this time when I was failing financially, the physical result was scary. It was discouraging. It was, what's the word for it? You know, like other people would see it and call me crazy because here I was putting money into something and getting no result, right? So everything in the physical was completely discouraging for me continuing on. But I stayed consistent up here. I stayed committed up here. I knew that I was heading, and I didn't have full clarity, but I knew I was heading in the right direction. I had to keep reminding myself that I was heading in the right direction, that there is a lot of pain before you get to where you're going to go. There is a lot of failure. I had to keep reminding myself of this. Again, when everybody else was telling me I was crazy, even my fiance, you can't blame her, my friends especially, the ones I told about it, I had to keep going. What am I going to do? Give up on myself now? This is when I really started to build this commitment, this everlasting commitment to myself and my journey, right? I said, we're going to keep going, okay? And that's what I did. Well, me keeping going, we had to end up moving out of the apartment. We couldn't afford. I mean, we weren't. I was paying the bills, but I couldn't save anything. And not being able to save anything, man, I couldn't. reinvest anymore into trading at all. I was playing with very small amounts at that point because I had learned everything else. All right. But I stayed committed. I stayed connected to the vision. I stayed knowing that this was heading me and keeping me and leading me in the right direction. So I didn't fret too much about having to move out and move back into my parents' house. Now, my fiance, that's a different story. She's been a trooper. She's been a trooper with me. She's stuck with me through the mud at this point, right? That's a whole nother story. Beyond thankful and grateful to have her. And my beautiful daughter. My daughter didn't know, she was a newborn. So anyways, the universe was supporting me, though. I didn't know. I could move back into my parents' house and have their support and help there. I was very grateful for that. Always have been, always will be. Right? So through that process, I learned the commitment to myself, though. I learned that it's only me, at the end of the day, it's only me that can hold the consistency and commitment to myself and to my journey and to what I believe to be rightful for my life. Right? So time passed on. Oh, yeah, I missed a part of the story. Tile collection, that was the countertop, the construction business I was working for. We're doing countertops, right? Heavy stone. Like I'm talking granite, marble, quartzite, all different types of stone. These are what covers like $1 million home and less than that as well. Cabinetry, right? Beautiful stuff. I actually love it and can't wait till I have my own one day. But it was hard work when it was hard, right? Like you'd be carrying heavy stone in and out of the house all day, right? Now there was times, a lot of downtime, so on and so forth. But what I did, another reason I know and experienced the universe supporting me, was I busted my ass. I went into this job with the mindset of like, let's absolutely do as best as I possibly can. I had a friend that got me the job. I wasn't going to let him down. I wasn't going to let myself down. And so I went for it. I busted my ass way harder than anybody else, even though I didn't have to. I'd be running around, like running from the car to truck to the house to go in, do this, do that. There was a summer. I've always been a very naturally hot person, incredibly hot, like sweating my ass off type hot. And I was also much more fat at that point too, so that added to it. But there was a summer. There was a part of this discipline shift that I had. I was like, all right, I'm gonna wear hot ass clothes and then run my ass off all summer. And that's exactly what I did. I wore sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, all types of hot clothing during the heat of the summer, working outside and inside as well. But I'd be running around. Like when I wasn't carrying stone, I'd be going and getting tools and bringing them back in. So you bet your ass, we're in the top story of the house. We're trying to get done for the day. It's already 4:00. We need something that's all the way back at the truck, ground floor, running. Right? I mean, not breaking, slinging mirrors off the wall and picture frames off the wall as I go down the stairs, but as much as I could, I'd be moving very quickly and at times running with what I could. But anyways, I tell you that to help you understand that this was my own version of what's the old saying? This is something I internalized that played out. Work harder, or work for more money than you're paid for, and you will soon be paid more money than you work for. Work harder than what you're paid for, and you will soon be paid more than what you work for. Something along those lines. Not long after I was doing all this hard work, I got a promotion, you could say, and I was working in the shop, right? Working on the countertops. A lot less heavy lifting, a lot less running around the houses, and a lot more sitting in a chair with some free time. You know what I could do in that free time? Read. I could journal. I traded. I started trading there after a while. I bought a little tablet, a little $100 tablet I found online. Still sitting over there in the drawer. And I bring it in there with me every day and I practice my trading. Practice. Right? So the universe supported me in that endeavor. It supported my decision to stick with it and to stay consistent, stay committed. And also it helped me get the promotion to where I could work on it more and stay committed once again. So the universe is always supporting us. It's just, what are we pushing out to the universe? Now we're still 3 years back at this point. It's a 20-minute long video. I didn't plan on telling you guys this whole story this morning, but here we are. Maybe I have to do a part 2 on this. Tell you how the universe has supported me in many other endeavors. How it is supporting you. And then hopefully what you'll gather is that it's supporting you as well. You may not be expressing yourself in the way that you wish the universe to support you in, is what you'll find. And again, that's what I found throughout this process as well. It was always supporting me, but sometimes I was putting out the wrong message, so I was getting the wrong outcome. Again, accountability. I learned to take accountability. I learned to realize that it was me creating the situations. Anyways, I'm going to go further into this maybe tomorrow, a different day, for sure. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think below. Have an amazing day.